Hi everyone, some of you already know me and my story, but for those who are watching me for the first time, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Olia and I'm turning 45 next month. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in September 2019, ovarian cancer stage 3B. I was diagnosed during the surgery. I went for a pretty simple laparoscopic procedure of removing benign tumors from my ovaries, but when they took the tumor out from my ovaries, they discovered that I have cancer, and so the surgeon decided to cut me from belly button down. I have very long incision, and he removed my uterus, both ovaries, tubes, cervix, part of my bladder, and some of my omentum. Right now I am receiving chemotherapy. So far I received 4 rounds out of 6. And I have to tell you that it has been scariest and craziest 5 months in my life, recovering from a big surgery, waiting for genetic test results, for histological report, for CT scan and blood work results, going through chemotherapy and dealing with side effects like pain, nausea, and depression. Cancer hit me hard, and I was not ready for that. But I'm so lucky that I'm not going through that alone. I have a great support from my family, my friends, and most important, from my husband, who knows and understands me, who is here for me every day, who loves me, who takes care of me, and who makes my battle a little bit easier. That is not my husband. Dexter came here to join me. But my husband, he's a good guy. He's my rock and my best friend. Cancer and cancer treatment affect not only the patient, but also the family members. And today I'm going to interview my husband to find out how he's feeling and how he's dealing about this situation. Okay, Dexy, let's go get your daddy. Let's go get your daddy. Let's go. Thank you for doing this, baby. I would like to ask you some questions. Are you ready?
Yes. I'm ready.
So you were the first one who found out about my cancer. So I remember the day of my surgery, then I was still in the operating room sleeping.
Yes.
And the doctor walked out and talked to you. Do you remember what did he say and how it made you feel?
Well, let me start from the beginning. We didn't know. I was just expecting you to have you're in and out. I didn't even think it was a big deal of you being in the hospital, because the doctor didn't, think it was going to be a big deal for us to worry about. So when I went to go pick you up, I took Veronica and we were waiting for you. And we were waiting and realized that you should have been out, like what's taking so long. So I thought, well, maybe I'm waiting in the wrong area. Maybe there was kind of a intermediate place to wait, like post-operation. And I went to the nurse station. I asked them where, should I be, am I in the right place? They said, yeah, you're fine. Just wait. So I waited. And they, you still didn't come. So maybe 20 minutes later, I went back out and I told them, I was like, you should have been out in an hour and a half is what they told us. And it's been way past that. What's going on? And they're like, they just picked up the phone, started making phone calls to the surgery room. And at first it was the anesthesiologist that came to me. She didn't speak much English. So when the interpreters came at the same time, and that's when they said that they saw something they didn't like. The doctor saw something they didn't like, and they had to do the hysterectomy. And I was off guard. I didn't know. I don't even know what that really meant. I wasn't at the time. I didn't really know. I didn't really know what a hysterectomy meant. I know what it meant removing, but you know, again, this was not something I was considering, so it was a complete surprise. And so they said that you'll be in for a little bit longer, and then I went back, went into the room, and I couldn't think straight. I actually left the room, called my mom, and told her just to say it out loud. And because she was a nurse too, I thought maybe she could tell me what's going on. I also had to sign paperwork for you to have a blood donation in case you needed it, in case you didn't stop bleeding.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah, so because they didn't do it beforehand, because again, nobody expected this. So, you know, it just really dawned on me the seriousness of the situation, that the first step now is to make sure your bleeding is under control. And so I talked to my mom. I just kind of told her. She's the first person I told. First person for a long time. It was a long time before I even told anybody else after that. And you know, just kind of said it out loud. Didn't know what it meant. Didn't really know what it's going to be for you. So finally, the doctor did come out, because he was still working on you at that time. I guess the nurses were sewing you up, and he came out and he says, "Well," he said, "I saw something I didn't like. It looked like, you know, she had cancer, and so I had to remove, you know, more than I thought." And he told me, "Well, I don't think you should worry. I think I caught it early at stage 1. I think it'll be okay." And that's all I had. And finally, you did come out. They wheeled you in finally, and you're just coming in and out of consciousness. But the first thing you said to me is, "Did I have cancer?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't want to lie to you. I had to tell you a few times afterwards, because you're pretty drugged up. But.
So how were you managing everything while I was in the hospital, dealing with your work, our daughter, taking care of our dog, cooking meals, visiting me at the hospital? Was it hard?
It was hard because it was hard for me to concentrate on anything at one time besides thinking of you. I just remember in between, actually, I remember in between when you finally got released out of the hospital, I took Veronica home, and I just couldn't think straight. I was just kind of, I didn't know how to drive home. You know, I just like, well, which road do I take? How do I get back here fast as I can? How, you know, what am I going to do with Veronica? I need to feed her and you know, get her ready for bed, and then come back to you. And I don't know, it was a difficult drive. And even after that, it was just kind of a blur of going back and forth, trying to take care of the dog, take care of Veronica, be there when I can for you, get the things that you need while you're there. So it was, I don't know, it's that part I don't really remember much. It's just kind of a juggle. Everything was just a response. I just kind of, what you needed from me is what I gave you. What I had to do for Veronica, I gave her. Taking this little guy for a walk and feeding him, and just everything. My priority was just trying to just keep everything normal as much as I can.
When I recovered from my surgery and I started my chemotherapy, which affected me not just physically but emotionally as well, and sometimes I was just in a bad mood. I was crying or feeling depressed or sad. What helps you to stay calm and patient with me?
I see it as that's just my job. If I don't do it, who will? You know, this is, not too many people ask me questions of what I thought, because everybody, and rightfully so, is concerned about you. You know, but from my end too, it's been it's been something where you dig deep emotionally in yourself, where you've got to be the strong person to be there for you. I don't know. It's kind of my responsibility, my job to do that for you and for Veronica, is to be the anchor of normalcy in the family in this chaotic point we're at. So you needed, and I told you when you were crying, it's like, don't hide it from me. Just cry. I'll hold you. You know, if you're not feeling good, talk to me. I'll listen to you.
Thank you for being there for me, babe.
It's my job.
Tell a little bit about how do we prepare for each round of my chemotherapy.
Well, physically in the house, we food prep stuff that you want to eat, and get the groceries. Usually make a soup, something that's easy on your stomach, something that's easy to make, something that doesn't require any, work on your hands, so you can take it as you need it. Spiritually, emotionally, a lot of times we go to the church beforehand and have a few minutes and sit together and, put our thoughts into whatever it is that we need spiritually to get through it.
How are you coping with stress?
I don't know. I don't have hobbies.
You play guitar? You play
I play, yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, normally that kind of thing, I'd probably need a physical release of, like, doing the stuff with the ocean, or going surfing, or paddleboarding, or something physical to make myself emotionally and mentally and physically exhausted. I haven't done those things since we started, I don't think. And yeah, around the house, because I'm closer to you, and whatever you need is, I've been playing guitar a lot. But honestly, I don't know if I've dealt with my stress yet. I'll worry about that later. I'll worry about that when I know I can relax. Right now, I don't know. I just until I know that we're free of this stress, that this is behind us, then I'll figure that out.
We're almost done, baby.
I know.
We're almost done.
Yeah, we are.
What advice would you give to other caregivers?
Well, I think if they have, I don't know if this is the right word, the advantage of knowing what they're walking into, they could be more prepared intellectually, of understanding the situation. It's like I said, I wasn't even really sure. I knew what a hysterectomy is, but I really didn't know exactly what it was, what happens afterwards. Same with your chemotherapy, same with your long-term care. And just keep an eye on you. And in between all this too, is like, when you go through this, that for me, it is kind of just like, it happened. And this is it. So you deal with it. So I think in one end is just kind of me being just reactive to the situation, which makes it, I don't know if that makes it easier instead of being, well, who knows? I don't know. But so to somebody else, I would say, if you're understanding or learning the situations, to do the research, what kind of impacts they can expect, and then think about from the other end, I'm always concerned about her own psychology, how she's doing mentally, obviously physically. Physically, it's going to be a challenge. And speaking of which, that because it's going to be a challenge, you need to be there for them. That just go ahead and be in the mindset of, you're now the caretaker, whether you like it or not. This is a situation, and you put on your man pants and fucking get to work.
How do you see our future?
How do I see our future? When we decided to get married, we got married and got committed on marriage. And I've always said since that day that this will be the last time I ever do it, getting married. Not because of marriage itself, or the challenges of being with somebody, or the sacrifices you make of those things, but because I found somebody that I love till the end of the world. No matter what happens, my love for you will always be there.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you so much.
Sorry we got emotional a little bit, but I want to thank you for answering my questions and for sharing your feelings and your experience with my followers and subscribers. Thank you for being there for me every day. Thank you for helping me going through this. Thank you for being my rock, my shoulder to cry on. I love you forever, baby.
I love you too, baby. You're welcome.